Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elle, and today I will be chatting about all of the books that I read in October. So, October, I'll give it a little debrief, was an insane month. I ended up getting my hair cut, which I really, really love. And then just like school was insane. Like, if you don't know, but for college, like we have our huge exams, midterms in October. And that about killed me. Like, I just taking some really hard classes right now, so I just had to lock in, and it was really hard. So I'm glad that October's over. I did read only 4 books, which is definitely not what I wanted to, where I wanted to be for October, but that's just kind of how it ended up turning out. But the first book I read in October was If It Makes You Happy. This is a very cozy fall read. I actually listened to it on audio and I really enjoyed it. This is kind of a Gilmore Girls inspired book. So we start off in the 90s, like where Gilmore Girls starts. And our heroine, she is moving back to this small town to take over for her parents, who I think one has passed away and one is just struggling with health. And they live in this, her parents live in this small town. They grew up in this small town and it's very cozy. And she has to take over as being the owner of the inn for a little while. And she ends up becoming neighbors with the hero, who has 2 young daughters. He owns a bakery, and they kind of like start hanging out together because his daughters were really close with her parents and he was close with her parents as well. And she's just like totally the opposite of his type and is very type A, not really into the slow pace of a small town. But they start getting to know each other and hanging out, and they like start having a really strong connection. But she's like, I'm leaving soon, and I don't want to disrupt his whole life. And I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I did feel like it dragged a little bit, and I did really enjoy it, but it just felt very slow burn, which I do love slow burn, but it felt a little bit too slow burn, especially towards the end. But I just thought it was such a cozy fall read. I loved the small town. I loved his daughters. And I just loved that it was set up as like a Gilmore Girls, like Luke and Lorelai type situation. It was really, really cute. Then the next book I read in October was also on audio, which was Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I loved this so, so much. It was so good. Now, I had read Bride last fall and also really loved that one as well. And this is a werewolf romance. And if I remember correctly, the heroine, she is actually like supposed to be the bride of like the heroes. Like, she is supposed to be his mate, but it's kind of like a rejected mate bond. Like, she doesn't feel like she's his mate, and she's also like a hybrid. Half human, half werewolf. And so she has to stay with him in his territory, and like he's responsible for her, but she's also trying to learn more information about her parentage and kind of like what she is, because in this world there are like vampires and werewolves and humans, and they all know each other exist, but there are very few hybrids, and she doesn't know like the biological makeup of her and what that means. And so we really explored a lot about that in this book, and it was just so good. I love the hero and I love their relationship, and it is very slow burn. Like, I love how like Ali does for these books, where you get before each chapter a little thought of like what the hero's thinking. And I just love that. And it was just so good and very spicy, lots of like nodding scenes and very good, like really good monster spice. And I just loved this. It like brought like Twilight vibes of like a werewolf pack, and it is different where you're more immersed in this one, in actually the werewolf pack, than the previous book. Like, you're still immersed in that, but like there's a lot more stuff about territories and like who's the alpha, and I just really enjoyed this one. Now, the next book that I read in October definitely took up the majority of my time physically reading, and that is Alchemized by Sin-Lin Yu. I read this and I have a lot of thoughts. So a majority of the wrap-up is going to be my thoughts about Alchemized, but I won't go into spoilers. But I think, I don't know where to start with this. Like, I started reading this and I was really enjoying it. Now, mind you, I read Manacled before this. So I knew she was going to change things in this one. And the last time I read Manacled was in 2023. And overall, I did enjoy this. I'm actually gonna set it down because it's like super heavy. But like, I feel like it lived up to my expectations, but not, if that makes sense. So like, anyways, this book is about our heroine, Helena, who is in this world, and she has actually been a prisoner for a long time, and she doesn't remember anything before the war. Like, she knows that she was a part of like the rebel side, but that's all she really remembers. And so she is given to the High Reeve, who is like the second hand man to the leader of like basically the bad people. I forgot what their name is. But anyways, she is taken and is living in this guy's mansion, the High Reeve, and they are trying to get information from her memories, but then they end up putting her in a breeding program where she is supposed to have a baby with the High Reeve so that they can get even more of her past memories. And that's kind of where the book starts. She is in Manacles, living in this house, and it's a lot. And this book is in 3 different parts. The first part is the present, second part is the past, and then the last part is back to the present again. And I just feel like she changed stuff, but like it felt like the same romance as Manacled, but also not. Like, I don't know, like I just loved how in Manacled, like they were such rivals, and that added so much to the romance for me, and I didn't realize it added so much there. Whereas this one, they are rivals, they went to the same alchemical school, but it didn't like hit as hard with the rivals to lovers, and that was like one of my favorite parts about Manacled. And I know like she had to change it because obviously it was Harry Potter fanfic, but I'm just like, ugh, like that was one of my favorite parts, and that like she knew him from before, and she did know him from before in Alchemized, but I just feel like it didn't hit as hard. But the romance was so good, and I loved how she changed stuff like that we didn't really, like in Manacled before, when were in the past, like we got stuff of like Harry and Ron, but there wasn't really a Ron, it was just Harry, like his character in Alchemized now. And I thought that was really interesting, and I did really enjoy the change. But overall, I did really enjoy this one, but it definitely like isn't a direct like Manacled to this book. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I still love Manacled more, but I did really love Alchemized, and I really enjoyed the romance and like certain scenes, and just their like how like needy they are for each other, which I love. But overall, I did enjoy Alchemized. It didn't live up to my highest expectations, but it was still very solid and one of my favorite reads of the year. And then the last book I read in October was Secret Haven by Catherine Cowles. This is her newest release, and I absolutely loved this one. It was just so fantastic. Like, this is the last book in the Sparrow Falls series, which is so devastating, but I just really fell in love with these characters and their romance. So Fallon and Kyler, they have been like friends. They were friends before he became her foster sibling, and they kind of were having a romance before they became foster siblings, but then they obviously had to end that because he came to live with them and he's going through a lot of stuff with his past. So now we flash forward to the present where Kai finds out that he has 3 sisters that he never knew about, and to get legal guardianship of them, he needs to basically marry someone and like look like he has his stuff together. And so Fallon, she is the social worker for the case, and she basically proposes to Kai, like, we should go enter a arranged marriage so that we can get custody of your sisters, and like, I know I can definitely get them, like, we can have custody of them because I'm like such a good candidate and all of this stuff. So that's kind of where the story starts. It's a marriage of convenience. Forbidden, they are foster siblings, but only from like when they were like 16 onward. And yeah, and so we kind of see the struggles of them having to move in together and having these old feelings from the past. And then there is a lot of suspense with the parentage of his three sisters, and then Kai's past of like things that he did in his past that were kind of dark things. And I really enjoyed this one. I love the angst and just how much they care for each other. And I love when like it's a romance where like a sibling has to take care of their siblings and have like legal guardianship over them, and like going through the trials and tribulations of that. And I love that aspect and trope in this one. And I gave this one 5 stars as well. All of the books that I read in October were 5 stars, which is good. And I'm so sad that the Sparrow Falls series is over, but I just love this so much. All right, well, that was all of the books that I read in October. Hopefully November will be a better month, but I am so excited for November and for all of the cozy fall reads. And I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.